Hi, my name's Allison Dorman. I'm in the MBA program at RMU, and I'll be talking about Facebook and Deere & Co. Facebook's value discipline is customer intimacy, which is segmenting and targeting markets precisely and then tailoring offerings to match exactly the demands of those niches. With the data it collects from data brokers and its own user metrics, as well as its third-party app partners, it's able to track users across platform, device, browser, and other data. Deere's value discipline is operational excellence, but since 2020, they are attempting to pivot to product leadership. Facebook is able to segment the market using its social graph product. This helps advertisers target specific consumer groups with high levels of precision based on political views, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, and household composition. Deere is divided into three broad categories: agricultural and turf, forestry and construction, and financial services. Additionally, the professional equipment is separate from personal home goods like lawnmowers. Facebook is able to build user loyalty through its addictive scrolling experience with infotainment and seamless ads. Its algorithm selects what will keep users on the site. It encourages engagement with likes, comments, and shares. It also creates connection with remote friends and family for users. Deere & Co. redesigned their entire line of equipment in the 1960s. Since then, the company has been able to have a high build quality and reputation among customers. It continues to manufacture old parts, and dealers continue to sell tractors from the 1960s on. There are remanufacturing services which recondition parts for older tractors, and the equipment holds value longer than other brands. There are also financing waivers for off-season delivery. Facebook uses data from data aggregators, from its own data collection on users, and from third-party apps. Its value proposition for advertisers comes from its processes for collecting, encoding, and aggregating data, utilizing its algorithm and social graphs. One issue with Facebook's use of big data is that users are not always aware of how their data is being collected and used and distributed to third parties. Deere & Co. utilizes big data with sensors and smart technology on its heavy equipment. So it helps farmers manage planting, irrigation, and other farm tasks with weather data, seed optimization, irrigation sensors, and GPSs to help pinpoint the correct location and depth for planting. One of the issues with Deere's use of big data is that the Internet of Things is not open source. There's a right to repair legislation movement that was stalled in 2018 but may still move forward in the future. There's also a fear that the aggregated data collected by Deere across farms across the US could be utilized for competitive advantage in a way that does not benefit consumers. So Deere may be able to use its aggregate data to predict commodity prices, to determine which seeds or fertilizer are the most important for farmers and raise prices accordingly. Or it may be used in another way to gain a competitive advantage that does not benefit the customer. Facebook's digital transformation happened in 2011 and 2012 when it went public. Facebook developed the Messenger app and bought social media platform Instagram. The Facebook Messenger app increased the data harvest by allowing access to users' phones, which brought in contact data, birthdays, anything that was on a user's phone. And Instagram has helped increase the platform space for seamless ads that blend in with content created by influencers. Deere's digital transformation has been occurring in the past few years. In 2018, Deere and other tractor manufacturers killed proposed right to repair legislation, which would have made equipment manufacturers responsible for having open source software so that customers could repair their own machinery. As it is, customers have to go to an authorized dealer, which is often prohibitively expensive, to repair software issues with equipment that is highly technical because of the increased sensors and connected technology that's on this equipment. In 2020, Deere pivoted its strategy to product leadership based on the rapid introduction of new technologies. It introduced the position of CTO in 2020, and in the past year, 218 data science positions have been posted. In terms of digital maturity, Facebook is much farther along in the process than Deere and Co. There is workplace innovation in the form of hackathons, in which employees from interns to top management are required to work nonstop on anything that's not part of their day-to-day job. So a lot of company innovations have been driven by these events. It also anticipates long-term increases in regulations and is trying to see how it can get ahead of these major changes to its business. It also scales small experiments, as with the Chief Information Officer, whose team developed a checking in feature for internal employees that has been since rolled out to the public as a safety measure during natural disasters or emergencies. Deere & Co. has a smaller progress towards digital maturity. It does have a long-term digital strategy since 2020, and it's keen to demonstrate digital leadership, but it has yet to attract cutting-edge talent. It's still searching for software engineers, AI machine learning experts, and so on. Neither Facebook nor Deere & Co. utilize analytics sufficiently, in my opinion. Facebook's hiring process involves a phone screen with a recruiter or hiring manager and then interviews with future coworkers. The Facebook recruiting platform is utilized by hiring managers who visually categorize potential candidates based on their race in order to submit at least one minority candidate for each position. The Equal Opportunity Employment Office has been investigating systemic discrimination within Facebook because of a number of complaints by Black candidates and employees that Facebook relies on subjective evaluations and promotes problematic racial stereotypes. Deere & Co.'s hiring process involves a phone interview followed by an on-site interview. Candidates may be subject to aptitude or specialized knowledge tests, and Deere subscribes to the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, result, which some employees believe is not an adequate measure of job skills. There's a high volume of temp employees at Deere who may not be hired later on in the process. There are also union restrictions because of the unions in place at Deere. The key takeaway that I brought from this compare and contrast assignment is transparency. Users of Facebook were outraged about how their data was used for political manipulation after the Cambridge Analytica scandal, and farmers are suspicious of how their data is going to be used by Deere and data aggregators. There's still the push for right to repair legislation to protect farmers with open source Internet of Things software. So I believe that transparency is key. To create lasting connections with customers, you have to build trust and provide transparency. Thank you.